Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Rill from RillsCorner.com, and today I'm going to be showing you Tenderfoot's how to play Reinhardt in Overwatch. This is a beginner's guide to help you get started with this hero. Reinhardt's main and most notable ability is Barrier Field. By holding down the right-click button on your mouse, you will create a shield projection in front of you. None of the enemy fire can get through it, but all of your allies' abilities can. The barrier has its limits though, and will eventually break and need to recharge. The second most useful tool in Reinhardt's arsenal is Charge. By pressing shift, you'll charge forward and smash pin anyone in your way. You don't have much control of the direction when you're charging, so aim well. Also realize that you will charge until you run into something solid or run out of fuel, so mind those cliffs and ledges. Reinhardt's left-click ability is to swing around his giant hammer. Click it fast enough and you'll get a backswing in there as well. This is only useful for targets that are close to you, however. Which brings us to Reinhardt's E ability, Fireball Golf. You swing your hammer and launch a fireball straight ahead. It travels a pretty good distance, so it's helpful for hitting squishies up on a ledge. This is essential because Reinhardt is very slow and not a good chaser at all. He can easily be hassled and harried by kiters. Lastly, Reinhardt's Q is Earth Shatter, which basically is slamming his hammer down and knocking down all the enemies and stunning them. Its range is only slightly bigger than your melee radius, so use it wisely and preferably when all of your enemies are bunched up. Now for some tips on playing with Reinhardt. This hero is excellent for blocking up choke points, pushing into an objective, and being a personal meat shield to any heavy firepower teammates. You want to make liberal use of your shield, but make sure you keep an eye on the meter and let it recharge whenever you have a chance. You can take a beating, but not for very long. Having the shield makes you feel pretty invincible at times, but remember it only faces forward. It will do you little good in close range or if enemies circle in behind you. You'll do your best when someone is watching your back for you or by keeping your back to a wall or an enclosed room. The hardest thing about playing Reinhardt is deciding how best to implement your shield and getting your team to use it to their best advantage. Because the shield is Reinhardt's biggest asset, it's the thing your enemies will try to circumvent the most. They will use hard-hitting firepower to bust through it. They will rush you to get through it. They will circle you to get behind it. They will attack from multiple sides to force you to choose who to block. Thankfully, you can prevent and deter some of this with some easy fixes. First, use your hammer. When enemies try to get through your shield simply by running through it, then drop and swing away with your hammer. You can take out squishies with 1 or 2 solid blows, and more often than not, they will back away out of melee range so you can get back to holding your barrier again. If the enemy is focusing on just breaking through, then start being sneaky instead of just barreling into them. Use the terrain and get a few seconds to recharge. Circle around the enemy and take out the perchers one at a time. Use your shield as little as is prudent, such as a final push onto the objective, or when it seems really necessary to block your team as you charge through a short open space. If the enemy is trying to circle you, get into corners or tight enclosed spaces where your shield will take up more available space. Whatever you do, don't stay in the open. Most of the time, objective points and escorts have plenty of side rooms and parked cars that you can use to your advantage. Now let's talk about the only ranged ability that you have. By pressing E, you can play Fireball Golf, and it's awesome as a close-range pop shot, and it hits decently hard. You can also try using it at the start of a fight to snipe at the snipers, but it's really the only use I've found for this ability for beginners. Hitting kiters and choosing when it's worth it to drop the shield and use it will take experience and time to learn, but it's not an entirely impractical skill, so it has some promise and is worth the effort. Lastly, let's talk about Charge. I find that when it comes to Reinhardt's shift ability, the best rule to live by is use liberally in close quarters and use sparingly in the open. You will not stop charging until you hit something solid or run out of fuel, and using shift in a large open space can get you separated and isolated from your team. You can't get any support, and you don't do much good by getting too far from your allies. You don't move very quickly, and you don't have reliable ranged abilities, so charging in an enclosed space will ensure your charge is effective, finishes quickly, and lets you get back to shielding and smashing and make sure you're not 100 yards away from your team. If you're playing with friends and wondering who pairs well with Reinhardt, I would say pick Bastion or Torbjorn, and throw Lucio in there as well. With the firepower that Bastion can pump out, and Torbjorn can also give you additional armor, you can act as their own personal meat shield, which will ensure that they stay alive a lot longer than your enemies. Combine these guys with Lucio for faster firing and reloading and occasional healing when needed, and your team will be unstoppable. Overall, Reinhardt is easy to learn and easy to play with only a couple things like Shift and E that will take some time to master. So for the Tenderfoots out there, Reinhardt's pick up and play ability is top notch with 5 out of 5. If you like the tanky types or are just trying to help out your team, definitely consider the guy with the giant hammer. If you liked this video, and especially if it helped you out, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more Tenderfoot hero guides coming out soon, then make sure you subscribe. As always, thank you for watching and have a great day!